Module 3 and Module 4, first reading. At this stage, do not try to memorize anything. Do not worry about definitions. Do not worry about exam answers. Just ask, what problem is this module trying to solve? Module 3, Individuals and Private International Law. So far, private international law has been discussing countries, courts, jurisdictions, and legal systems. Now the focus becomes much more personal. The module asks what happens when the legal problem is attached to a person rather than merely a territory. Because people move, people migrate, people marry across borders, people own property in different countries, people acquire connections with multiple legal systems at the same time. The moment this happens, courts need a way to determine who legally belongs where, which personal law applies, which country has the closest legal connection to the individual. This is the central concern of Module 3, concept of nationality and domicile. Imagine a person who was born in India, acquired Canadian nationality, works in Singapore and plans to settle permanently in England. A court now faces a difficult question. Which country is legally most connected to this person? To answer that question, PIL developed two important connecting factors. Nationality, domicile, both attempt to identify a person's legal home, but they do so differently. Structural tension. Different legal systems do not always agree on which factor matters most. Civil law systems often emphasize nationality because it reflects a person's political and legal allegiance. Examples: France, Italy, Germany. Common law systems often emphasize domicile because it reflects a person's permanent home and long-term attachment. Examples: India, England. Thus, one of the first questions in PIL becomes, should legal identity follow citizenship or permanent home, personal law? Once a person's legal connection is identified, another question appears. Certain matters are deeply personal. For example, marriage, divorce, succession, guardianship, family relationships. These matters are often governed by a person's personal law. core focus. This topic is really about legal status. Questions such as, is this person legally married? Is this divorce valid? Is this child legitimate? Who inherits the property? All depend upon status. The challenge arises because a status recognized in one country may later be questioned in another. Therefore, the module asks, when a person crosses borders, does their legal status travel with them? Custody of children. Now the focus shifts from adults to children. Imagine, parents belong to different countries. The child lives in a third country. A custody dispute arises. Several legal systems may claim interest. The problem becomes, which court should decide, which legal system should govern the child's future. Modern PIL increasingly recognizes that custody disputes cannot be solved purely through territorial logic. The welfare of the child becomes crucial. Conflict in matrimonial regime. Marriage creates legal consequences beyond the ceremony itself. Questions arise regarding ownership of property, financial rights, marital obligations, distribution of assets. Different countries regulate these issues differently. A conflict emerges when spouses have connections with multiple jurisdictions. The court must determine which country's matrimonial rules should govern the relationship. The battle of legal connections. Courts often encounter tension between lex loci celebrationis, the law of the place where the marriage was celebrated, and matrimonial domicile, the law of the place where the spouses establish their permanent married life. Thus, the issue becomes, should marriage be governed by where it was celebrated or where the couple actually built their life together? Matrimonial causes. Marriage sometimes ends in disputes. Examples include divorce, judicial separation, nullity, restitution of conjugal rights. When international elements exist, additional questions emerge. Which court should hear the case? Which law should govern the dispute? Will other countries recognize the outcome? This topic examines those conflicts. Alimony. A court may grant financial support after marital breakdown, but international complications quickly arise. Suppose the spouses separate in one country, the paying spouse lives in another, assets exist in a third country. The issue is no longer merely financial. The issue becomes, Can the order be recognised and enforced across borders? Stateless minor. This topic studies one of the most vulnerable situations in PIL. A child may lack recognised nationality. Without nationality, many legal protections become uncertain. The court must determine which legal system protects the child, which authority should act, what law should apply. Universal judicial anchor. Modern PIL increasingly relies on one guiding principle: the best interests of the child. When nationality, domicile, and territorial connections become uncertain, courts often treat the welfare of the child as the most important consideration. Thus, statelessness, legal uncertainty, need for protection, best interests of the child. Module 3, complete curiosity map individual, legal connection, nationality or domicile, personal law, legal status, marriage and family relations, custody issues, matrimonial conflicts, alimony, stateless minor, protection of individual rights. Module 4, jurisdiction and resolution. Module 3 focused on people. Module 4 focuses on what courts do with the disputes that people create. The module asks, once an international dispute reaches a court, how does the court actually solve it? This is the machinery of PIL. Rules for choice of law. A court first needs to decide which legal system should govern the dispute. This is the choice of law question. The court examines the dispute and identifies the legal system with the closest and most appropriate connection. This topic studies the rules that guide that selection. Characterization. Before choosing any law, the court faces another problem. It must first understand, what type of dispute is this? Because different categories may require different connecting factors. The first step, characterization, is also known as classification. Qualification, think of it as legal sorting. A judge cannot choose the governing law until the dispute is properly classified. For example, is it contract, tort, property, family law? Only after classification can the court move to the next stage. Thus, dispute, classification, choice of law. Concept of Renvoi. Now imagine something strange happens. An Indian court chooses French law, but French law says, no, this matter should be decided according to another legal system. The dispute is referred elsewhere. This creates the problem known as Renvoi. The legal systems begin referring the matter back and forth. Two important forms. Single Renvoi. The foreign law points back to the forum, remission, or to a third country, transmission, and the reference is accepted. Double Renvoi, also called total Renvoi. The forum court attempts to decide the case exactly as the foreign court itself would decide it. This topic studies how courts handle these circular references. Content of juridical law. Suppose the court decides that foreign law applies. A practical question immediately appears. How does the court know what that foreign law actually says? The court must understand the content of the foreign legal system before applying it. Indian practice. In India, foreign law is generally treated as a question of fact rather than a question of law. Therefore, the parties must prove the foreign law. This is often done through expert testimony, legal materials, documentary evidence. The court cannot simply assume the content of foreign law. Arbitration. Not every international dispute reaches a traditional court. Parties often choose arbitration. Arbitration offers neutrality, flexibility, international enforceability. This topic studies how PIL interacts with arbitral proceedings and foreign awards, partial recognition or enforcement. Sometimes a foreign judgment is not accepted entirely. A court may recognize some parts while refusing others. The question becomes, how much of the foreign decision should be respected? This topic studies those situations. Legal recognition of foreign legal person, businesses and organizations often operate internationally. A legal entity recognized in one country may seek recognition elsewhere. The issue becomes, will another legal system recognize that entity's legal existence and capacity? This topic addresses that question. Module 4, complete curiosity map, international dispute, choice, characterization, classification, selection of governing law, Renvoi problems, understanding foreign law, arbitration, recognition, enforcement, foreign legal persons, resolution of cross-border disputes. master map of Module 3, Module 4, individual. Nationality, domicile, personal law, status, marriage and family relations, custody, matrimonial conflicts, alimony, stateless minor, dispute reaches court, characterization, choice of law, renvoi, foreign law content, arbitration, recognition and enforcement, final resolution of cross-border disputes. At the curiosity reading stage, the only goal is to see the story. Module 3 asks, who is this person legally connected to? Module 4 asks, once the dispute reaches a court, how is it actually solved? Together they complete the journey from the individual involved in a cross-border dispute to the final legal resolution of that dispute.